Good evening, folks. It's Diamond with the Oppenheimer Ranch Project, Magnetic Reversal News, Sacred Geography, and Shinrin Yoku, bringing you a grand solar minimum update Sunday, April 2nd, around 8:30 p.m. Mountain Time 2023. The models are showing a southern Appalachian snowstorm in mid-April, and Lake Tulare is filling, we now know, at a rate of 32 square miles per week. But the big story, death toll rises to 32 after multiple tornadoes ripped through the South and the Midwest, leaving communities in ruin. Keep calm. It's boom time. Now, the death toll rising to 32 Sunday after a batch of ferocious storms and tornadoes devastated communities across America's South and Midwest, while parts of the Southern Plains brace for their own round of severe weather, including more snow. And it wasn't just the Upper Plains or the Midwest, but 5 tornadoes were confirmed this weekend in New Jersey. And many locals said they never heard wind like that. The National Weather Service confirmed Sunday that tornadoes struck Saturday night in Cinnaminson, Jackson, Howell Township, and Seagirt in New Jersey, and near Bridgeville in Delaware. Whew. This is escalating as we deepen into tornado season. Winter's holding on. Highways closed due to a spring snowstorm in Idaho. Multiple highways, Highway 20, Highway 87, and Highway 33, all closed due to whiteout conditions. And up to 2 feet more snow could fall on some of Colorado's mountains this week after 3 feet have fallen in some areas in just the last few days. And another winter storm to hit Minnesota this week, even though it's spring, ding ding. Here's the full forecast. But before we get to that, let's take a look at the snowfall analysis from the last few days. The snow keeps falling like it's summer. Shut up, Al! He didn't get any bun cake. But we still have multiple states picking up 2 to 3 feet of snow over the last 72 hours. You can see the last 48 hours, that storm that moved through South Dakota, Minnesota, and Wisconsin. Wisconsin was the big winter chicken dinner on that one. The next system will bury Wyoming. Some areas of eastern Wyoming may see the most snow they've seen all winter. And here's the full forecast. Severe storms possible in the lower Mississippi Valley. Heavy mountain snow for parts of the west. Severe thunderstorms and flash flooding are possible across parts of the southern plains and lower Mississippi Valley through tonight. Meanwhile, a developing storm system will spread heavy snow from the Pacific Northwest into the Rockies and northwestern high plains by Monday. Damaging winds, critical fire weather conditions will impact parts of the southern plains and southwest through Monday, and that will be their fun day. You can see the snow is continuing to fall in the Pacific Northwest through Idaho and in western Wyoming and Montana. That system is going to dump down into Utah and into Wyoming and the Central Sierras there through Monday and Tuesday. And there's that system's going to pick up heavy steam and dump feet of snow in South Dakota and Wyoming. And we'll get to those snow totals in just a second. As this storm bombs out, later in the week, there's going to be a severe weather threat developing from Texas to the east, starting on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So stay tuned for more detailed forecasts as this major winter storm system develops. Let's move the snow through for you. Here's your Monday through Tuesday morning. That will be the snow falling. The heaviest totals will be in eastern Wyoming. Like we said, areas could be picking up to a foot or more of snow by Tuesday morning. Moderate amounts of snow moving down the Cascades, the high elevations of the Sierras, most of the high elevation of Nevada. Major snowfall totals continue in Utah and Idaho as well. Here's Tuesday through Wednesday. That storm's going to bomb out. In a small area could see up to 4 feet of snow, blizzard conditions, and heavy drifting. As that system here Wednesday through Thursday morning is complete, with its line of destruction of 16 inches of snow in multiple states. Now let's do a Lake Tulare update, and this is the South San Joaquin Valley. What we're looking at in light blue is the update as of March 28th. The darker blue is the region of expansion in the last week, which is 32 square miles. And so we now have a rate in which the lake is rising 32 square miles of surface area per week. and that is 2 to 10% per day. With the current data set, there is now a 210 square mile region in the Tuileries Basin flooded as of April 2nd, and we'll keep a close eye on it as it deepens. And when the real melt starts, this baby is going to fill to record levels. And the so-called high-speed rail line, California's new high-speed rail line, will have to contend with being under tens of feet of water potentially. Here is a picture from March 23rd of it already submerged. And the heavy rainfall and snows and spring runoff are going to add insult to injury, and this equipment, if hasn't been removed, will be destroyed. So stay tuned for more updates on the growing problem in the South San Joaquin Valley. Now, a 7 magnitude earthquake struck Papua New Guinea just a few hours ago. It was at a depth of almost 100 kilometers, so no tsunami warning was issued. This was also on land. Now, the trembler struck 97 kilometers from the coastal town of Wewak at a depth of 62 kilometers, according to this report, occurred shortly after 4 p.m. local time. Because of the sparse population in this area, there is very limited communication. No injuries have been reported, but dangerous liquefaction may have occurred, and there may be minor casualties, if any. So stay tuned for more updates if you're interested. There is the quake of note right there. Aftershocks have occurred, 4.3 magnitude right on top of the epicenter. No other quakes of note. There has been some moderate uptick in activity here in the Cascadia region, but that has subsided. Now, what hasn't subsided is Nevado de Ruiz volcano in Colombia. An earthquake swarm began about 4 or 5 days ago, and it continues to pick up in numbers and strength, and this baby is already active. So this type of activity is new magma injection near the surface between 7 kilometers and the surface, and could be indicative of a new major phase of eruption for Nevado de Ruiz. So here we are looking at some of the details on Nevado de Ruiz, its position here in Colombia. And let's look at the eruptive history, shall we? This is a big boomer. It typically is highly explosive. It's recently, and what I mean by that in the last few hundred years, been averaging VEI 2 to 3. But in times of yore, VEI 4 was a mainstay. The last VEI 4 in 1595. Prior to that, 1350. Maybe one at 200 BC that helped end the Roman Empire, and another at 850 BC. So this baby could be supplying a big boom soon. Space weather news update. The sun is quiet during solar max, as we continue to report time and time again. The solar indices have dropped, and the first peak in the solar max cycle has occurred, and it is lower than all of cycle 24. So anyone that thinks that cycle 25 is some major runaway cycle, they are being proven wrong. Every single day we have a sun looking like this during solar max. Thems are the facts. Now, scientists find Saturn doing something never seen before. Some people are claiming this has something to do with something happening now. It's new, but it's not. This information was hiding in plain view for 40 years and is from old data, from old satellites, 40 years old. And someone thought to relook at it. And what they found, using data from several space missions, old ones, including the Hubble telescope, which is newer, astronomers discovered that Saturn's rings are heating up its own atmosphere, something that has never been seen before in our solar system. So, breakthroughs in science happening every day, even with 40-year-old data. Now let's talk about big impactors, shall we? Natural wonders. Here is Hoba, the world's largest meteorite. And this Hoba meteorite is in a Namibian national monument, which means it's in Namibia, which is in Africa. Now, this baby weighs a ton. Well, actually, thousands of tons. It is coming in at 66,000 kilograms, which is going to be like 150,000 pounds or a lot of tons. Take a look at the size of this. It's flat. It has some interesting radial things going on here in the surface crust. But this baby hit the Earth and probably darkened the skies for quite some considerable time. Now, scientists have determined this meteor came to Earth between 80,000 and 300,000 years ago, which makes it a very recent player in the mass casualty effects from cosmic catastrophe. This is, in fact, the largest meteorite we know of on Earth, but clearly larger objects have hit us in the past, right in the extreme drought ended one of the ancient world's greatest empires, the Hittites. Wood from the tomb of King Midas, his father, shows how rainfall shortage and widespread famine could have wiped out the Hittite civilization. And this has nothing to do with CO2, but natural climate variability. In fact, there wasn't even a grand minima at this time. But the steadily shrinking tree rings of lumber used in a Phrygian tomb have helped a group of scientists estimate the date of the collapse of the Hittite Empire. In fact, 3,219 years ago. That summer's grain harvest was terrible, just as bad as the previous two had been. And the bellicose civilization depended on grain and couldn't collect taxes from farmers, feed its army. And famine became widespread, and the state eventually broke down. This is not the first time that climate impacts have been blamed for the end of the Hattai. So that's fascinating. And we're entering another change, a shift in the climate due to the waning magnetosphere and the shutting down of our sun that in times of yore, like the Maunder minimum and the Dalton minimum, have led to massive famines. So, stay tuned and be prepared for what's coming. In fact, OPEC has announced a surprise oil production cut that could lead to higher prices at the pump, and higher prices in fuel means more spikes in prices in the supermarket. Soon, you'll be priced out of eating. I hope you're growing your own. We are, and that's a boom to knowledge. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Share this with like-minded people. We just got back from the San Luis Valley Seed Exchange. What an amazing event. We gave out millions of seeds, met hundreds of awesome people. Tons of fans came out, and it was just a wonderful weekend, albeit a little dusty and windy, and I'm exhausted. So please share this video as we are shadow banned from all the people that aren't subscribed. YouTube will not share the video. We love you. Be safe.